very big discussions with Iran, and we'll see what they amount to. I was asked by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and some others if we could put it off for 2 or 3 days, a short period of time, because they think that they are getting very close to making a deal. And if we can do that where there's no nuclear weapon going into the hands of Iran, I think, and if they're satisfied, we will be probably satisfied also.
They're the words coming out of President Trump in the last 24 hours, which sent a rally into both the stock market and to some degree the silver. The gold price did rally a bit off that, but you can actually see currently at the time of recording this, it is starting to retrace. But one thing we are seeing is the market does seem to knee-jerk react to whatever Trump says. Now, is the Iran war over? Are we likely going to get a peace? We'll talk about that in today's video, plus the most important political things that are happening today, because there are some pretty big events that I'll give you guys an update on as well, which will determine where the future of the US goes. And plus the gold, silver prices, and a ton more. And guys, let's get straight into it. So you can see right here, we're still in a volatility range for silver. So $75 consolidating. We hit a little bit of volatility yesterday, down to about $73. It actually rallied all the way back up to $80, which was looking nice. But just recently, another sell-off coming through on the silver price. And if we have a look at gold, gold to some degree was similar, maybe a bit more of a larger drop, going down to 4482 on the price, but then rallying back up, recovering a bit from that, and currently sitting at about 4,500, which is going to be an important level of support. And you can see a lot of support coming in here for gold. So whether this holds, we're going to see, but I think a lot of it's going to be tied into exactly what happens in the next couple of days with Trump. And you can see right here, he has indicated at face value there will be a 2 to 3 day postponement on the strikes. And there are other news media reporting right here saying, US restarting strikes in Iran. It's not a question of if, but when, according to Israeli media reports. So when this thing fully resumes, we're going to find out. But one thing we are seeing is when it does seem to be heading towards a breakout of war, unfortunately, gold and silver do start to dip in the short term. But I'd say, look, most of this stuff is actually tied into just short-term fluctuations. So a lot of the time we are seeing just knee-jerk reactions from people, media reports, Trump statements, things like that. But it doesn't actually break the fundamental thing that, is behind gold, silver, copper, other types of precious metals. And it's tied into some degree what Ron Paul is saying right here. So he says 38 trillion in debt and counting. Washington has no plan to fix it, only to keep spending. The dollar is doomed. Physical gold and silver exist outside the system. And he's actually come out with a big statement today. And let's listen into this, and I'll give you guys the big political news for today, which will impact, gold, silver, and also US foreign policy. So let's have a listen into what Ron Paul has to say right now.
The big political event today, Daniel, it looks like that wouldn't be hard to figure out. I think our friend is up in a tough election, and it's going to be decided tomorrow. And a lot of people are involved, a lot of special interest groups involved. And there's no doubt who had the most money. And we have to remind ourselves the person with the most money doesn't always win the election. But Thomas is doing his best to pull this off, because it would be a tremendous victory, because they're bad-mouthing and lying and cheating and all this that we can anticipate in a race like this.
And Ron Paul goes on to say it is the highest spending U.S. House race in history, with more than $10 million pouring into Thomas Massie's House re-election bid. From outside oligarchs, Massie has angered a group of billionaires, the same group that bankrolled Trump's presidential bid, for adhering to his pro-liberty, anti-interventionist views. And Trump has actually come out. There was actually a video he just released today. And we'll have a bit of a listen to what Trump has to say, but he's coming out fighting for Massie's opponent.
I'll be doing hopefully a very powerful tele-rally tonight for a friend of mine, Ed Galrain, who is a fantastic man, a fantastic hero, war hero, farmer from Kentucky. He's running against the worst congressman, in my opinion, worst Republican congressman in the history of our country. The guy's a total disaster, and you know who it is. Thomas Massie, he's the worst.
So there you go. Strong statement coming out of Trump against Massey. And then if we actually have a look right here of the live odds coming in for this fight right now, we'll just refresh it so we have the live data. But just to give you the polar market odds currently, so you can see right here how this race was running. Thomas Massey was actually way ahead for a large period of time, so he was actually cruising above 60%. And he's very popular with, grassroots supporters. So there's a lot of people, especially on X and just in the community, who support Thomas Massey. And you can see right here, just recently, it flips. It flips big time. And he's actually now no longer the favorite according to the poly market odds right there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that actually plays out. And remember, the link into this is, a lot of US economy is actually tied into foreign policy, how they spend their money, where the tax money goes, all that important stuff. So this is the highest level. It's a little bit of a signal. It's definitely going to be a bellwether for the future of the US. So everyone in the political space will be, watching that race, and we'll comment on what happens next regarding that. But, to talk about gold and silver and the prices, look, it's going to be tied into some degree what happens next with, the Middle East situation. And look, if it outbreaks in war, of course, there could be some volatility we have to factor in. And but if it doesn't, if there is a peaceful resolution or something that truly good does happen in that regard, gold and silver are looking fundamentally pretty strong. And you have to remember, before this whole thing broke out, silver and gold were basically rocketing to the moon. So they tend to do very well in a hot inflationary economy where global supply isn't crunched. So if it's just your typical inflation economy, it tends to do quite well. And just watch out for this as, the market rolls on. But they are the big things to watch out for: Middle East and US election today, guys. And that's today's update. If you guys got value out of it, like the video. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will see you in the next one.